And we continue learning Hachzek Musar Yomi Rabeinu Yona's Sharei Teshuva. We're up to the 13th page in the art scroll, Sharei Teshuva, as Rabeinu Yona continues to discuss why when one does an Aveira and repeats that Aveira, why it compounds and it's that much worse than the first Aveira that he did. It says Rabeinu Yona v'hashenis. And the second reason why when one repeats an Aveira it's so terrible, because when you repeat the Aveira, the Tshuva is that much harder. Aside from the fact that the Aveira is a graver offense like we saw in the previous year. But says Rabeinu Yona, the result is that much worse. Because the form and the process of Tshuva is going to be that much more difficult. Because when you repeat the sin, it makes it as if at some level it is permissible once it becomes habitual. And therefore, the second chait is that much worse than the first one. Teaches us, behold, you have spoken, you carried out evil deeds, and you were able. What does it mean at the end of the pasuk? That after you did the Aveirus Vatuchal and you were able, that after you were doing Aveir and you repeated it, it's as if it's Vatuchal. It's as if you're able to continue doing it. It's as if something that's within your world to do, and everyone knows the first time you do something it's terrible, but the second time it's already within your realm, within your world. And explains Rabeinu Yona that's why that second Aveira is that much worse from the expression that says in Devarim you are not able to eat in your cities. Shetargma Leslach Rashu, as the Targum Unkelis over there explains, you are not permitted to eat in your cities. So the Torah over there refers to something which is usher, as you were not able. The Yirmiyahu Hanavi teaches similarly, when you repeat the Aveira, you were able. Meaning that when you repeat the Aveira, it begins to look as if it is something that you are able, as if it is something which is permissible. V'amar Rabbi Seinu Zechron Levracha teaches the Gemara in Yuma, it appears and comes as if at some level it is permissible to him. Continues Rabeinu Yona, and says the Chachamim, the Gemara in Kedushin, coming up in Daf Yomi, about one who has done an Aveira and repeats it. Ki mikan ve'ilach, from that point and forward, once it becomes habitual, once it becomes normal in his world, if he again tries to do such an Aveira, but then for some reason it just doesn't happen. Even though normally we know that bad intentions, bad machshavos are not considered actions. But says Rabeinu Yona, once it becomes habitual, once it becomes in your world to do it, then even the machshava, even the thought, even the plan to do it is combined to the action itself. Allah Ne'amar, and on that Yirmiyahu Hanavi teaches us, I'll bring evil upon the people, the fruit of their intentions. Continues Rabeinu Yona, and now Bina, think about Shimon understands Kilikar Gadol, because it's a great principle. And the Sadavar, it's true. It's true. Even tzaddikim at times stumble in sin. As the pasuk in Kalas teaches us, there's no one in this world that has never sinned. So for, of course, the four that never did Aveira in their life. However, they push down, they suppress the Yitzhahara 100 times. Every one time the tzaddik falls, 100 times he wins the battle. And if they fall one time, they don't repeat the Aveira. And they immediately accept the blame. They have the remorse and they do tshuva, and therefore The fact that one does an Aveira doesn't remove him. He's not no longer considered a tzaddik. Of course he is. He stumbled, he fell, he feels bad, he gets back up and he moves on. But if someone doesn't bother with a certain sin, I can't do this, that's beyond me, that's something that I can't handle. When he does not accept upon himself to try to be careful from it, even if it's from a light Aveira, he's no longer considered a tzaddik, because the fact that he's no longer fighting, he's no longer trying to get up, he's readily falling. Now even a light Aveira says he's a rasha. You might be careful with everything else. Rahman al-Islam, such a person is called a Meshumar, an apostate, a mummer, for one Aveira of Imbaishim Nimna. And he's counted amongst those who do Aveirais. Rabeinu Yona just explained to us an incredible idea that all has to do with the attitude. Are you still fighting? Are you still trying? Or have you given up and checked out and said, that thing is beyond me? The moment you check out, that's the moment that even the smallest and lightest of sins becomes very grave and can remove one from being considered a tzaddik and make him counted amongst the Baishtim. Explains Rabeinu Yona, he explains, why is this true? Because if the Avid tells his master, I'll do everything for you, my master, but one thing I won't do, he's no longer an Eved. He's no longer carrying the yoke of his master. And he just does whatever he wants. He's no longer that Eved. So that's the reason why it is so grave. Well, in as an Emar, and this we find the Pasuk in Devarim Ara Shaleikum as Divrei HaTorah, as always, some cursed is he that does not do the words of the Torah. What does it mean? Ashalei Kabbalah and Ashalei Kaim Kol Divrei HaTorah Miyoshad Tzayf. Why do you get the curses? Because you did not accept to do the entirety of the Torah. Will not uphold, do not perform if lo amar some does not do them. Meaning, if one doesn't do a mitzvah, if one succumbs to an aveira, he doesn't automatically get those curses. Of course not. Even tzaddikim fall, as we just explained. But the difference is, when he falls, he gets up, he feels bad, and he moves on. But as soon as someone is wallowing in his misery, as soon as saying, I'm that Eved, and there's one thing I can't do, all of a sudden he's no longer the Eved, then he's considered a mummer l'taver echad, Rahman al-Islan. We'll pick it up from here in the next year. Siyato Dishmaya.